Why do people get married, and then act like they didn't want it? I feel like some people just think that they have to get married and there's nothing else out there. I think a lot of it is case sensitive. But if you're potentially looking for some generalities, this is what I think. Got married too soon. Age-wise counts in this genre too. Not knowing oneself and following what society expects. Or too early in the overall relationship, so didn't have the full scope of what it all entailed. Responsibilities, communication skills, compromise, etc. Having deficit of certain relational skills. Communication, self-advocacy, boundaries, self-actualization, etc. From the outset that slowly exponentially grew over time, so complaining, venting is the path of least resistance. Maybe a masculine stereotype to not let on that you enjoy marriage. Insecure compensation to make themselves feel better about maybe knowingly contributing to a negative dynamic, or validating their denial of contributing to the negativity in the marriage. Attempt at being dismissive of any issues by complaining to others instead of meeting the problem. Head-on in a mature assertive fashion. An attempt to connect with others over negativity, and the common denominator is people being married, and marriage inevitably comes along with hardship. Easier to stay as the circumstances currently experienced aren't as bad as circumstances could be. By leaving. Avoidance of change. Avoidance of ownership of how they negatively contribute to the relationship, so they just complain. Instead of own. Don't know how to make it better, or have tried a bunch and have run out of steam. Ideas, motivation, etc. Maybe a safe, easy way to get emotional support, pity or attention. Ties to the marriage are weighted more than the negative experience in the marriage. Job, mortgage, kids, pets, belongings, family. So complaining helps them cope with the part of the whole deal they don't like but don't know how to change. There's definitely a ton more reasons, but in general I'd say some of these may apply, if not more than one, in the same situation. Edit to add. Lack of transparency with self or partner about wants, needs, because don't know yet or don't know how to voice them. High preference for a body type. Level of sex drive. Amount of responsibility. Wanting kids, etc. Or those needs, wants being chronically invalidated, dismissed by partner, leading to feeling stuck. And complaining as easy route. Expectations not aligning with reality. From my experience, we don't know who we truly are until early to mid and maybe even late 30s. What I mean by that is, if we're brutally honest and insightful, what our strengths and challenges are, what we need, want from someone in a partner, and willingness to develop the skills to get what we want, need, then it potentially increases the likelihood of getting what we want. The resiliency and strength to say goodbye when it's not what we want, need is also very hard. Emo. We won't know who we are until we experience that thing. Idea of a pet versus having a pet. Idea of living alone versus actually living alone. Idea of living in a big city versus actually living in a big city. I like to say, you don't know if you like strawberry pistachio ice cream with chocolate swirl until you have it. You can guesstimate whether you might like it, but for many, we don't know until we try it. And unlike ice cream, marriage and kids and pets and mortgage etc. are expected to be, and hopefully are, lifetime commitments. We might find out the hard way we don't like it until it's too late. I think it's because we can't know another person really. Think about the difference between how we experience being ourselves and how we experience knowing others. For you, you are this changing, dynamic experience of continuity over the narrative of your life. Others, on the other hand, are static qualities we assign to describe them as we would objects, even if we know them to exist as experiences like we do. Patterns align for a bit, Like how sometimes the drops from the leaking faucet in the kitchen will seem to be in synchronicity with ticking clock in the foyer. We fall in love during these periods of seeming synchronicity. We fall in love with a snapshot in time. However, then when the rhythms that were never truly in sync inevitably and obviously diverge, we say to the other, "But you tricked me. You've changed." No, they didn't change, you just never knew them because you can't really know anyone. You can only take the behavior you've observed and guess at the probability of future behavior. I'm married and love it. Same with all my friends. Obviously many people share your view, but many also don't. You usually get married when things are going well. When things aren't going well a few years later, there you go. Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes people are unhappy or just assholes. My advice is make sure that they aren't just kidding around before you assume the worst. Either buyer's regret or to make conversation. Some people just get married 'cause they don't want to be alone, societal pressure. It really boils down to they were not mature enough for a relationship and now they're stuck in a situation where they don't need to mature. It's usually a joke unless they truly regret it, but it does make a convenient excuse to get out of things I don't want to do. Sorry, the wife needs me that night. I have seen marriages where one of them changes almost immediately after getting married. Or rather the real them comes out now that they've achieved the goal of getting married and no longer have to perform the character they were living as before. As a married man myself, I always have very little sympathy for men who talk about their marriages like this. Either you love this person enough to want to spend the rest of your life as their partner, or you don't and need to be honest about it. Yes, relationships require some maintenance. But I've never found marriage challenging because I legitimately want to be married to my wife. Because she is my best friend. It shouldn't be hard. And if it is, your marriage has problems, my friend. I've seen it with boomers. Not with my generation really. Exennial. Honestly. Moving to the rural US. I've seen way different norms about sex and marriage. And I think people get married young so they can have sex without the guilt. Just a personal observation. People change. I think some people follow the rails. It's the norm to get married and have a kid by a certain age, so they just do it and end up resenting them. It's like after school. You get a job, pay bills, get married, kids, etc. Life on autopilot. Why people buy BMWs only to find out they're massive money pits once the new car excitement is over. I don't understand the people who try and pressure their BF into proposing. You should want them to do that on their own. Telling them they have 6 months to propose or you're leaving just seems like you're definitely pressuring them. If they wanted to marry you, they would have asked you on their own without you bugging them. I feel like that's what seems to happen in a lot of these situations. They get pressured to get married by either their partner, friends, family, or society. Some people change dramatically after that ring goes on, in every way possible. Couple of reasons. Ultimatums. She gave one to him and he was willing to give in as he didn't have any other options. She changed. Happens a good 40% of the time. Guys go into marriage hoping she never changes and she does. Women go into marriage hoping he will change and he doesn't. But what I'm referring to is severe personality change. Lying about sex drive. Women pushing them to a life they didn't see coming or wanted. Societal pressure. Companies give you better raises when you have a family. As a man, people think he must be at least agreeable, someone can stand him enough to marry him, and that his dick must still work. They wanted kids. Can't do that alone. Family pressure. Surprise pregnancy. Self-explanatory. Regret. Thought they wanted to be married but really didn't. They thought their wife was the one but they were wrong. This is honestly why I've stopped pressing my boyfriend to get engaged, married. Why would I want a serious commitment with someone who could care less about putting in the effort for that? One of two things. Either they thought that marriage was the default life setting, or they're just joking. It's a very old and common theme to joke about your spouse like that.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.